The Forgotten Arsenal. The Galactic Council chamber had never been this quiet. Ambassador Terran of the Axthari Confederacy stood at the center of the circular hall, his 4 eyes scanning the faces of representatives from 73 different species. Some had scales, others had feathers. A few existed as glowing clouds of gas contained in environmental suits, but today every single one of them wore the same expression: fear. The Terran swarm has taken the Kelthros sector, Terran said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his chest. 12 colonies gone, 4 million souls. The defense fleet lasted 6 hours. A murmur rippled through the chamber. 6 hours. The Kelthros defense fleet had been one of the strongest in the galaxy. 200 warships, each capable of glassing a planet. The swarm had torn through them like paper. How many ships did the swarm lose? Asked Counselor Mirax, a reptilian from the Outer Rim. Terran closed his eyes. Estimated losses 70 bioships. They had over 10,000. Silence again. Heavier this time. The Terran swarm wasn't an empire. It wasn't even a civilization in the traditional sense. It was a hive mind. A living armada of organic warships that consumed entire worlds and converted their biomass into more ships. For 40 years, the swarm had been a distant threat, confined to the far edges of uncharted space. Now it was here, and it was hungry. "We need more firepower," said Counselor Dravik, a towering insectoid whose mandibles clicked nervously. "We need allies. We need the humans," Terran interrupted. The chamber erupted. "The humans?" Mirax hissed. "They've been in space for barely a century." "They have no capital ships worthy of the name," another counselor added. "Their largest vessel is what, 3 kilometers? A joke compared to our dreadnoughts." Terran raised one clawed hand, silencing the room. "The humans have something we don't. They have a history of war. Their entire species was forged in conflict. While we explored and traded, they fought. While we built academies, they built arsenals." "You're suggesting we beg primitives for help?" Dravik's voice dripped with disbelief. "I'm suggesting," Terran said carefully, "that we're out of options." The vote was close, but desperation won. Earth's orbital station hung in the black like a steel flower, its petals rotating slowly to generate gravity. Terran's shuttle docked at the central hub, and he was escorted through sterile white corridors to a conference room overlooking the blue marble below. Admiral Sarah Chen was waiting for him. She was small by galactic standards. Most humans were. Her dark hair was tied back in a tight bun, and her uniform was plain, almost boring compared to the ornate robes and armor worn by other species' military leaders. But her eyes were sharp, calculating, and Terran found himself standing a little straighter under her gaze. "Ambassador Terran," Chen said, gesturing to a chair. "Welcome to Earth. I understand you have a problem." Terran sat, his tail curling nervously around the chair leg. "The Terran swarm is advancing toward the core systems. We've lost 6 sectors in the past 3 months. Our projections show complete collapse within a year." Chen nodded slowly. "And you want our help?" "Yes, what do you need?" "Troops, supply lines? Intelligence?" Terran hesitated. "Ships, we need ships, warships, enough to hold the line while we evacuate the outer colonies." Chen was quiet for a long moment. Then she leaned back in her chair, fingers steepled. "How many ships do you think we have, Ambassador?" Terran had done his research. "Our intelligence suggests you maintain a fleet of approximately 300 vessels. Mostly cruisers and destroyers. Respectable for a young species, but not enough," Chen finished. "You're right. 300 ships won't stop the swarm." Terran's heart sank. He'd flown across half the galaxy for nothing. But then Chen smiled. "Lucky for you," she said. "That's not all we have." The transmission reached the Galactic Council 3 days later. "Humanity has agreed to assist," Terran announced, trying to keep his voice optimistic. "They're sending military support to the Kelthros sector immediately." Relief flooded the chamber. Counselor Mirax leaned forward. "How many ships?" Terran cleared his throat. "1. The relief evaporated. 1 ship." Dravik's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. 1 human ship against 10,000 swarm vessels? Have they lost their minds? "Perhaps they're sending a scout," Mirax suggested. "A reconnaissance vessel to assess the threat." "Or perhaps," another counselor said bitterly, "they're sending us a message that we're not worth their time." Terran said nothing. He'd asked Admiral Chen the same question, and her answer had been cryptic. "Trust me, Ambassador. 1 is all you'll need." But as he stood in the council chamber, watching his colleagues descend into panic and anger, Thelran couldn't help but wonder if he'd made a terrible mistake. The asteroid belt beyond Mars was a graveyard of rock and ice, the remnants of a planet that never formed. It was also the perfect place to hide something big. Deep within the belt, nestled in the shadow of a massive iron asteroid, something stirred, docking clamps disengaged. Fusion reactors hummed to life. Running lights flickered on across a hull so vast that it took a full minute for the illumination to spread from bow to stern. The ECS Prometheus was waking up. At 40 kilometers long and 12 wide, the supercarrier dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. Its hull was a patchwork of titanium alloy plating and ablative armor, scarred from decades of test runs and simulations. Hangar bays lined its flanks, each one capable of holding 100 fighters. Weapon emplacements bristled from every angle: railguns, missile pods, energy cannons, and experimental plasma lances that had never been fired in combat. On the bridge, Admiral Chen watched the countdown on her display. "All stations report ready," her XO said. Chen nodded. "Take us out." The Prometheus began to move, thrusters firing in perfect synchronization. Slowly, ponderously, the supercarrier pulled free of the asteroid's shadow and turned toward open space. Behind it, 11 other asteroids began to stir. 3 weeks later, the Terran swarm entered the Kelthros sector. The Council's defense fleet waited for them. 800 ships, the largest armada ever assembled. On the flagship's bridge, Thelran stared at the sensor displays, watching the red dots multiply across the screen. "Swarm contacts. 9,800 and counting," the sensor officer reported. Thelran's claws dug into the armrest of his chair. Where were the humans? And then at the edge of the system, a single contact appeared. It was big. No, it was massive. "Sir," the sensor officer whispered, "you need to see this." Thelran looked at the screen, and for the first time in his life he understood what it meant to feel small. The humans had sent one ship, but it was enough. When Titans Wake. The bridge of the Council flagship Eternal Vigilance had gone silent. Every eye, lens, and sensory organ was fixed on the main display, where a single contact dominated the tactical grid. The computer kept trying to recalculate its size, rejecting its own measurements as errors. But the numbers didn't change: 40 kilometers long, 12 kilometers wide, mass readings off the scale. "That's impossible," Counselor Mirax breathed from his seat beside Thelran. "Nothing that large can move through FTL space. The power requirements alone would—" "Incoming transmission," the communications officer interrupted. "Audio only. It's from the human ship." Thelran straightened in his chair. "Put it through." Static crackled, then a calm, measured voice filled the bridge. "Admiral Sarah Chen, Council Forces, this is ECS Prometheus. We're reading your defensive positions. You've done well to hold the line this long, but we'll take it from here. All ships fall back to designated safe zones. Repeat, fall back immediately. We're about to get loud." Counselor Dravik's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "Fall back? There are 9,000 enemy contacts inbound. One ship, even one that size, cannot possibly—" "Look at your sensors," Thelran said quietly. The tactical display had updated. The Prometheus was moving forward, accelerating past the Council fleet with impossible grace for something so massive. But that wasn't what made Thelran's blood run cold. It was what was coming out of it. The Terran swarm had no concept of fear. The hive mind knew only hunger, growth, and consumption. It had devoured civilizations for centuries, adapting and evolving with each victory. When its sensors detected the Council fleet, the swarm did what it always did. It attacked. 10,000 bioships surged forward, organic hulls pulsing with bioluminescent veins. Some were small, barely larger than fighters. Others were massive, kilometer-long behemoths bristling with acid launchers and plasma sacs. They moved as one, a living tide of teeth and claws and hunger. And then the Prometheus opened fire. The first salvo came from its dorsal railgun batteries, 12 synchronized, shots that crossed the void at a fraction of light speed. Each round was a tungsten rod the size of a transport shuttle, accelerated to relativistic speeds. They punched through the leading edge of the swarm like hammering nails through wet clay. 12 bioships exploded in bursts of green ichor and shredded tissue. The swarm didn't slow. It never slowed. The Prometheus fired again, and again, and again. The railguns became a drumbeat, a thunder that rolled across the battlefield in waves of kinetic death. But that was just the beginning. Launching first wave, Admiral Chen's voice was calm, almost casual. All fighters, weapons free. The hangar bays along the Prometheus's flanks opened like the jaws of some ancient beast. And from within, hell itself poured forth. Thelran had never seen anything like it. The fighter drones came first, 15,000 autonomous craft, each one sleek and deadly, equipped with plasma cannons and micromissiles. They burst from the Prometheus in geometric formations, moving with inhuman precision. No pilots, no hesitation, just pure, calculated aggression. They hit the swarm like a swarm of their own. Plasma bolts lit up the void in brilliant blue-white flashes. Missiles streaked across the black, finding targets with terrifying accuracy. Everywhere Thelran looked, bioships were burning, rupturing, dying. The swarm tried to adapt, tried to swarm the drones with sheer numbers, but for every fighter destroyed, 2 more took its place. Second wave launching, Chen announced. The heavy bombers came next, 600 massive craft, each one carrying payloads designed to crack capital ships. They dove into the thickest concentrations of swarm vessels, releasing their ordnance in coordinated strikes. Nuclear warheads detonated in brilliant spheres of light. Antimatter charges collapsed swarm bioships into themselves, creating brief, violent singularities that consumed everything nearby. Third wave launching. Gunships now, 200 of them, each bristling with enough firepower to level a city. They formed a protective screen around the bomber wings, their rotary cannons tearing through smaller swarm vessels with methodical efficiency. And behind it all, the Prometheus itself continued to fire. Missile pods along its ventral hull opened in sequence, each one releasing 100 warheads. They filled the void with thousands of contrails, seeking, hunting, finding. Energy cannons mounted on rotating turrets tracked targets with computer-guided precision, lancing through bioarmor with beams of concentrated plasma. Experimental weapons, things that existed only in classified reports, came online one by one. A graviton beam bent space itself, crushing a cluster of swarm ships into a compressed ball of organic matter. A quantum disruptor caused molecular bonds to fail, reducing bioships to clouds of their component atoms. A directed EMP burst fried the neural networks of an entire swarm wing, leaving them drifting and helpless. The Terran swarm, unstoppable for 40 years, was dying. On the bridge of the eternal vigilance, no one spoke. The tactical display had become a light show of destruction. Red dots among swarm contacts were vanishing by the hundreds. The green dot representing the Prometheus sat at the center of it all, untouched, unmoved, a titan among insects. Time elapsed since engagement began, Thelran asked, his voice barely above a whisper. 2 hours and 17 minutes, sir. 2 hours. The swarm had destroyed entire fleets in less time. Now it was being systematically obliterated by a single human ship. Swarm numbers? Thelran already knew the answer, but he needed to hear it. Current contacts, 4,200 and dropping. Projection shows complete elimination in approximately 90 minutes. Counselor Marax turned to Thelran, all 4 of his eyes wide. What have the humans built? Thelran didn't answer. He couldn't. He was watching the Prometheus deploy its 4th wave, a squadron of what appeared to be boarding craft, moving toward the largest remaining swarm vessels. Not to destroy them, he realized. To capture them. To study them. The humans weren't just winning. They were collecting samples. 4 hours and 12 minutes after the battle began, it ended. The last swarm bioship detonated in a flash of green fire, its death scream echoing across empty channels before fading into silence. The void was littered with debris, organic fragments, shattered carapaces, and the frozen remains of a hive mind that had believed itself invincible. The Prometheus's fighter wings began their return, flowing back into the hangar bays like birds returning to roost. The great ship's weapons went silent, cooling in the vacuum. And across every vessel in the Council fleet, crew members sat in stunned silence, trying to process what they'd just witnessed. Admiral Chen's voice came through the communications channel one final time. Council forces, this is Prometheus. Threat neutralized. Kelthro sector is secure. We're transmitting tactical data on swarm biology and weaknesses for your records. Should you encounter them again, you'll be ready. Thelran found his voice. Admiral Chen, We don't know how to thank you. You saved us. You saved all of us. There was a pause. When Chen spoke again, Thelrun could hear the smile in her voice. Ambassador, there's something you should know. Something the Council needs to understand. What is it? The Prometheus is one of 12 supercarriers in Earth's fleet. We built them over 80 years in secret, in the asteroid belt where no one was watching. We built them because humanity learned a long time ago that peace is only possible when you're prepared for war. The bridge went silent again. 12. There were 12 of these monsters. Chen continued. We didn't build them to conquer. We didn't build them to intimidate. We built them because when we finally reached the stars, we wanted to be ready for whatever we found out here. Today you saw what one carrier can do. Pray you never need to see what all 12 can do together. Thelrun's claws gripped his armrest so tightly he thought they might break. What are you saying, Admiral? I'm saying that humanity doesn't seek war. We don't want to rule the galaxy or dominate other species. But we're not naive either. We know the universe is dangerous. We know that sometimes violence is the only language that predators understand. So we prepared. We trained. We built ships that could face any threat. On the main display, the Prometheus was already turning, orienting itself for the journey back to Earth. We're here if you need us, Ambassador, Chen said. But we hope you never do. Prometheus out. The transmission ended. Thelrun sat in his chair, staring at the empty space where the supercarrier had been. Around him, council members were already shouting, demanding emergency sessions, calling for ambassadors, trying to understand what this meant for the balance of power in the galaxy. But Thelrun wasn't listening. He was thinking about what Admiral Chen had said, about preparation, about the difference between seeking war and being ready for it, about a species that had spent a century in space and somehow managed to build a fleet that made the galaxy's ancient powers look like children playing with toys. Sir, his aide approached cautiously. What do we tell the council? Thelrun stood smoothing his robes with one clawed hand. When he spoke, his voice was steady, certain. Tell them the truth. Tell them that humanity isn't just ready for the galaxy. They've been ready for decades. And tell them that the smartest thing we can do is make sure we stay on their good side. He looked out at the debris field one last time, at the remains of a threat that had seemed unstoppable just hours ago.